Lutheran volunteers from all over the country came to D.C. for an orientation to be trained in the center. And we were talking about poverty issues, and we were talking about justice issues, and we were talking about how to build a good community and how our spirituality ties into all of that. And one day we were talking about how many people in the world live on $1 a day. How many people in the world, that is how much they have to spend every day for everything that they need. And then they surprised us, and they said, okay, so you all, here's $1, that's your dinner tonight. Other people do a whole day, you're doing dinner. You have $1 for dinner tonight. And they sent us out of the building where we were meeting out onto the streets of D.C. And the neighborhood that we were in was not like the Montrose that has a grocery store that you trip over every time you turn around. It was a very more downtown neighborhood where there were expensive restaurants and a few corner stores with snacks in them, sometimes over, those little overpriced corner stores. And go get dinner. You have $1. I didn't see any McDonald's that had 99-cent meals listed either. Well, somebody had started a rumor, and it was probably true, it was probably to help us out, but this was a group building exercise, and that if we pooled our resources as our communities and as our little households that we were living in, we'd do much better than if we each went individually and spent our own $1. So my house, there were 6 of us, all little white 22-year-olds just graduated from college, all bright and shiny and ready to go out and save the world. 5 girls and 1 guy. He thought he was a very lucky man. He didn't do as well as he thought he was going to. But anyway, so send us 22-year-olds out into the downtown with $1 in our pocket each. Well, some of the other houses got really smart and said, let's band 3 or 4 houses together. And so there was one group of 20 people who had a car, and they got in the car and they went to the grocery store because there wasn't one in walking distance, and they bought lots and lots of pasta and some spinach and garlic and cheese. And you can feed 20 people on $20 pretty well if you go get a bunch of pasta and vegetables. And then they went back to one of their community houses and cooked it all together. Well, my group didn't have a car, and D.C. was not the place where we were going to be living. We were going to be living in Baltimore, so we didn't have a house to go back to. We've been sleeping on a church basement. So the 6 of us trotted over to one of those little corner grocery stores, and we bought half a loaf of bread, because you can buy loaves and halves there, and a pile of American singles, individually wrapped cheese, which some of you know I have a particular fondness for, but it also happens to be the cheapest, and a little packet of those salami slices, and I think a juice that we shared, and then we had 25 cents left over, so we bought a little pack of double McGums so we wouldn't have bad breath from the little salami slices we had. And we sat down on the little stoop outside there, and just the 6 of us, and we shared our little half loaf of bread and our salami and cheese and a little juice that we shared. And that was the moment that we became a community. That was the moment that the 6 of us came together and said, okay, we can do this. We can move to a city where none of us know anybody together, and we can cook our meals together, and we can figure out our chores, and we can pray with each other and love each other and care for each other. And that was the magic moment, sitting on that step, sharing that little humble meal. There is something about eating together that is our way of becoming a community. There is something about eating together that becomes our bond and our way of loving each other. It is much easier to love someone that you have sat down at a meal with. That's why dates sometimes are romantic dinners, right? You eat with someone. How much more when it is this meal that Jesus gave us? How much more when it is this meal that Jesus shared with his disciples, their Passover meal, as we heard David read from Exodus, sitting down together according to their religious traditions, according to their Jewish traditions, and having a Passover meal. And then Jesus saying, when you do this in the future, it will be my body that you're eating, and it will be my blood that you're drinking. It will be reminding you and reenacting how I died for you, and how my body will be broken and my blood will be spilled so that you together can be one body. So that when you're eating, You're all eating from me and becoming of my body together. So that's what we do. We sit down together and we eat just like with a foot washing. It's not the full depth of a total meal. We do that at potlucks and other times, but it's a ritual meal, a memory, a practice, and truth on some very, very deeper than the reality level, that we share a meal together. A meal that is God's body, making us into one body. And we do it particularly tonight, remembering the way that that body was broken and poured out for us, so that we might love each other. The communion, we're going to do it standing around the altar, actually. I think, is everyone here able to get up a step or two? I think we're going to come all the way up around the altar. So you'll want to bring this with you up to the altar. So let's just move this just a little bit out of the way, and then come and stand in a circle. Everyone is welcome at our communion table. If anyone wishes not to communion, you can still come stand in a circle and we'll take care of you, but everyone is welcome. And if you have the hand sanitizer yet, we can help each other that way too. Robert, would you like to say the actual words of institution when we get there? Yes, please. Okay. I'm going to tell you when you get to that part in the prayer. God is with you.
And also with you.
Lift up your hearts.
We lift up your God.
Let us give thanks to the God of all.
It is right to give God thanks and praise.
It is indeed right, our duty and our joy, that we should at all times and in all places give thanks and praise to you, Almighty and merciful God, through our Savior Jesus Christ, whose suffering and death give salvation to all. You gather your people around the tree of the cross, transforming death into life. And so, with all the choirs of angels, with the church on earth and the hosts of heaven, we praise your name and join their unending hymn.
Holy, holy, holy God, God of power and might, heaven and earth are full of your glory. Hosanna in the highest. Blessed is Christ who comes in the name of our God. Hosanna in the highest. Hosanna in the highest.
God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, you have brought us this far along the way. In times of bitterness, you did not abandon us, but guided us into the path of love and life. In every age, you sent prophets to make known your loving will for all humanity. The cry of the poor has become your own cry. Our hunger and thirst for justice is your own desire. In the fullness of time, you sent your chosen servants to preach good news to the afflicted, to break bread with the outcast and despised, and to ransom those in bondage to prejudice and sin.
On this very night in which Jesus was betrayed, He took the bread